Well, good morning, good afternoon, or maybe good evening, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome here to the launch pad and our live coverage as NASA's SpaceX Crew-3 get ready to talk to media before departing the station after their 6-month mission on board. The Crew-3 astronauts have been living and working on station since their launch on November 10th, 2021. During their mission, the crew members have contributed to hundreds of experiments and technology demonstrations. They're going to talk a little bit about that and then take some questions for the media. These events are normally pretty quick, about 20 minutes or so, as it is based on all the media coming through and being transmitted from Houston up to station. So the ground station coverage is a little bit more limited for that. So normally a quick event, but normally a really exciting opportunity for media like us to be able to talk directly to stations. So we're really hoping we'll get an opportunity to do that. If you guys have questions, you can drop those in the chat, and if we get a chance, we may try to include that in our question. If you haven't yet, though, take a moment, hit the like button, share it out. It really does help us out here at the Launchpad. It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we really do believe that space is better together, and this event is about to get underway. So we're going to mute our end, patch in mission control, and this event should begin in the next minute or so. But stay with us right here on our Launchpad for our live coverage of Live from the Space Station, the SpaceX Crew-3 getting ready to discuss their mission and prepare to return home.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
Copy that. JSC PAO, this is Mission Control. Houston, please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Courtney Beasley with JSC PAO. How do you hear me?
Hello, Courtney. We got you loud and clear. How us?
I hear you loud and clear. It's good to see all of your smiling faces today. We'll be taking questions today through the phone bridge and on social media using the hashtag AskNASA. But before we begin taking questions, we'll hear some opening remarks from Tom Marshburn. Tom, take it away.
Oh, sure. I tell you what, it's been a huge honor to be living and working aboard the International Space Station. We've all had quite a bit of time with a lot of work to do over the last several months, working through Expedition 66 and 67, but we've had a lot of fun as well. 3 spacewalks, robotic operations, lots of visiting vehicles, and of course the first private astronaut mission. Those crewmates are with us on board right now. But we do want to take a quick moment to thank the thousands of people, really, all around the world, mission control centers who have made this happen, the payload developers and the scientists who have had incredible ideas of how to utilize this laboratory and trying to squeeze all the information we can from this incredibly unique environment. So we're excited to be here talking to you today, and we're ready to take your questions.
All right, thanks, Tom. We'll begin taking questions now. Our first is from Jeff Faust with Space News.
Good afternoon. I wanted to ask, you've had the Axiom 1 private astronauts on the station for nearly a week now. What's it been like sharing the station with them, and have they been good house guests?
It's been a really exciting week. We all know that we're part of really an historic mission here. The first private astronauts is going to be opening up the way for space for everyone, really. This is just that first step. They've also brought with them some incredible hardware. We've been doing some internationally recognized science. And they've been performing that as well. We've had a lot of fun showing them around, showing them how to live and work in the space station. They've been great crewmates. They've been very kind and gracious with us as well. And so it's been a wonderful week.
Our next question comes from social media. Matthias, this one's for you. What was your favorite research experiment you worked on?
Well, I did lots of science experiments, and like being a material scientist, I really enjoyed being up here and doing almost 100 different experiments or participate in these experiments. But if I can only select one, then I would choose concrete hardening. It's an experiment which is interesting from a material science point of view because we gain a lot of data that we can use later on for simulations on the ground to produce better materials. But it also has a lot of impact and relevance to like a very hot topic that we have currently on our planet Earth. It's climate change. And climate change comes because we have a lot of CO2 production, and the worldwide concrete production produces 7.3% of CO2. So if we can improve this process, reduce the CO2 emissions due to concrete mixing and all the building industry, then we actually have a massive contribution against climate change. And so this is probably the experiment with the highest impact, I would hope.
And our next question comes from Marcia Dunn with the Associated Press.
Hi. Perhaps for Tom or anyone else who would like to chime in, I wanted to also ask about the Axiom crew. I'm wondering, was it intrusive in any way having 4 guests move in to your home for a whole week, and any safety concerns? And now that you've experienced this, could just about anybody pull off something like that, flying into space and spending a week at the space station? Thank you.
Hey, Marcia. Yeah, so they didn't come up with a minimum of training or with no training. So they actually spent a lot of time at JSC and doing a lot of the training that we do to be ready to do for emergencies and for off-nominal situations. So I think we all felt pretty comfortable, and they actually got the benefit of training with the people who are coming to replace us, the Crew-4 crew. And so not only did they train themselves, but they got to train with other NASA astronauts to sort of see how we work through problems and challenges. And so there's definitely a difference in the amount of training and the experience, but we definitely feel that they are able to take care of themselves and get safely to their vehicle, and then we're able to implement that. And I don't think we found it intrusive. The station's a pretty big place, so it's about the size of a 5-bedroom house. I think, as like Tom said, it's kind of actually cool for us to see. We take for granted how much we've adapted to being up here. So when you see new people come up there and remembering what it was like, it's kind of like when you see kids learning and stuff like that, and having that sort of that joy and the wonder, and teaching them how to control their bodies as they're moving around. So it's actually kind of fun to relive that, and it's actually really good practice for us as we get ready to host Crew-4. I think in terms of anyone doing it, I would say, like Tom mentioned, this is definitely the dawn of a new era. So I think, much like the early aviation industry early on, it was very few people that were doing it, and now it's pretty common for a person to get on an airplane and fly somewhere. So I think as we move forward, we'll have to figure out what the right amount of training is and what the right pace is. But yeah, I think this is definitely the first step of an era of privatizing commercial low Earth orbit and making it accessible to a lot more people.
And our next question comes from Bill Harwood with CBS News.
Hey guys, Bill Harwood at the Kennedy Space Center. I'm going to waste my question with a standard reporter question for crews coming home. I'd like each of you to tell us what you're looking forward to the most back on Earth after 6 months, 5.5 months in space. Thanks.
I think we're all really looking forward to seeing our loved ones, our family and friends on the ground who were so instrumental in supporting us throughout our lives and getting us to this point, and then, of course, supporting us while we've been up here. So I think first and foremost, that's probably all of our answers. And then, of course, we're starting to think about all the different things we might want to eat and drink when we get home. So I think that's on our minds, too.
All right, and our next question.
I'll just add a hot bath to that. I think we'd all like that.
That does sound nice. Our next question comes from Robert Perlman with Collect Space.
Hi, for Raja and Kayla. Before you flew, you said that you were really excited about the turtle takeover of the space station, and you expected some references or decorations to appear during your stay. We also saw your zero-G indicator, FOW, but can you share other ways turtles have manifested aboard the space station?
Yeah, it really has been a turtle takeover. Of course, we have FOW, our zero-G indicator. We've had some turtle T-shirts that we've worn. And it's also been really fun to engage with our classmates who are on the ground. A lot of our classmates stay on CAPCOM, or Capsule Communicator and Mission Control, so we get to actually talk to them on the loops for operational comm. That's been really exciting. We had an all-turtle EVA, which was pretty great. Raj and I did a spacewalk together, which was really cool. So we've had a lot of good turtle time, and we are looking forward to welcoming Bob Hines and Jessica Watkins on Crew-4. So we'll have 4 turtles up here.
Our next question comes from David Curley with Discovery Channel.
Thank you very much. David Curley from Discovery. Kayla, as a rookie, several years wanting to be an astronaut, years training, can you give us a sense of expectations and reality of a long-term stay and a spacewalk? And Raj, like the stash, can you talk about parachutes and the lagging force chute? Do you have any concerns on return? Thank you both.
Yeah, I think for me, this mission has been such an incredible experience. And, you know, having 3 first-time flyers on the crew, it's been really special to have this experience, and especially to have Tom here as a mentor to kind of show us the ropes. And, of course, we had Mark Vandehei with us for the majority of our mission, the second half of his year stay. And I have to say, we really feel like we're super well prepared by our training on the ground to experience this, but there's only so much you can prepare for. I think you can intellectualize the experience of living and working in microgravity, but until you experience it, you don't really know what it's going to be like. The spacewalks were absolutely incredible. That was something I was really hoping I would get the chance to do, and we were super lucky because we all got the chance to do a spacewalk during this mission, and that was kind of a crew goal. We didn't know if it would work out because of the scheduling, but we had a fantastic time out there doing some amazing work, looking down at our beautiful planet. And for us, I think that was a really, you know, kind of the ultimate experience to have together, and really valuable developmental for future missions. And when we start to think about things like going back to the moon, doing a moonwalk, I think that's the best way we could have possibly prepared.
Yeah, and thanks for asking the question. So the mustache is a tribute to General Oles. So there's an Air Force tradition called Mustache March that goes back to that era. Unfortunately, I was doing spacewalks in March, so I couldn't grow a mustache and not interfere with the ComCap that. But I still owe the Air Force a few weeks, so I'm taking it into April. As far as the shoots, so there's tons of people on the ground that look at reviews, look at that data. One of the good things about having 4 shoots on a system is that you can actually do just fine with 3 of them. So all the lagging shoots we've seen have been within the family of what they predict and within the models, and all the descent rates have been completely nominal. And so it's all well within the expected behavior. I mean, visually it looks odd when you see it, but it's not totally unexpected. That shoot system is super complicated. But we have total confidence in the system, and more importantly in the people who are asking all those questions, looking at the data, the imagery, the models. And so, yeah, we are feeling pretty confident and ready and trustful of the system and ready to go home.
Our next question comes from Zach with the Launchpad News.
Yes, good morning, Space Station. Back from Edmonton, Canada. Raja, Matthias, and Kayla, this was your first space flight. Could you maybe each share something you found surprisingly easy to adapt to during your long duration stay? Maybe something that was challenging and how you overcame that. Thank you so much.
Well, it's like the first days up here, everyone needs to adapt to the environment, that everything is 3-dimensional, the room is 3-dimensional. So even if you put something on the wall and you think like, okay, I know where it is, it's like you move in space and then you look at it from a different perspective and suddenly it seems like you lost something. So that was the biggest, let me say, the most time-consuming point of the first few days or weeks even, to get used to the 3D environment. But apart from that, I think we all pretty fast adapted. And yeah, I hand over to Raja and Kayla.
I'd say very similar to Matthias, just orienting your eyes, and as you come around a corner in the module, it takes a while to be able to come around the corner in any direction and realize where you're at and instantly orient. And I think now, kind of going back to that point about the private astronauts, it's funny to watch them, relearn that process and always try to orient up and down, whereas we just kind of fly around corners in whatever orientation we have to be, and it just more naturally happens. The brain's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think I have similar little things, but one thing that was kind of overwhelming for me when I first got up here about that 3D environment and how much equipment we have up here is there's just a lot of visual input, a lot of cluttered views when you look around because of all the amazing scientific equipment and all of the equipment we have to keep us alive. But it took my brain a while to figure out how to filter that input, what I needed to pay attention to and what I didn't. And so I think I spent a lot of time early on kind of taking in too much, but now it's just second nature to all of us.
And our next question comes from Andrea with Houston Chronicle.
Hi, my question's along a similar line. For three of you, this is your first time in space, and as Kayla said, you had your first spacewalk. And so I was just curious, how has the experience compared to your expectations, and what were your favorite moments so far, if all of you have a second to talk about that? Thanks.
Well, I mean, it's like, if I need to summarize like the highlights of this mission, definitely it's the launch, sitting on the rocket and being like accelerated from 0 to 28,000 kilometers per hour within a few seconds or minutes. And then arriving here on the station, like opening the hatch, it felt like, I know this station, and obviously we all know it because we trained so long for it, but then it was completely new and then we had to discover it. So like exploration inside the space station definitely was also a highlight, and then the spacewalk. It's entering again a completely new world, stepping out of this fabulous station and being out there in space. So these were definitely my three highlights, and hopefully the landing will be the next.
I think for me, just the simple act of looking out the window is probably the highlight of up here, and that's something I try to do every day, every night, and whenever I have the opportunity, because it's just something you really want to just relish as much as you can. And so that for me has been the highlight, and far exceeded. I think I academically understood what it would be to look at the Earth, and you can look at it on a computer, you can look at the HD cams on the NASA feed of what it looks like, but to actually take that in with your eyes, it's pretty overwhelming.
I think for me, the most impactful thing has been the opportunity to work not only with our crew, but the amazing flight control teams all around the world. It's an incredibly fulfilling experience to be part of such a mission-driven organization who's accomplishing so much every single day. And when I look back on the things that we've had the honor and privilege to be a part of over the last 5 months, it gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. And this crew is just really special. We all really love each other, and we've had such a fabulous time up here. We, of course, missed Mark. We had 5 months up here with him as well, and just had a phenomenal time enjoying this experience together.
And I'll just add in there, I was a bit surprised to find out how emotional I got when I got to see my crewmates see space for the first time and watch them look out the windows. I suited them up for their first EVAs, and how protective I felt and how emotional it was to see them go out the hatch. I had a hard time getting any work done. I was going window to window to watch them and make sure they were okay. And of course, they did a fabulous job. So that's been a hugely fulfilling and wonderful experience to have three crewmates. I mean, they've gone from being rookies, and they inspire me every day now when we start the workday. We're acting like veterans in the first couple of weeks, and that's been a hugely wonderful thing to witness.
And our next question comes from Chelsea Goad with Space.com.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my question. My question is for the rookies on board who are no longer rookies. How would you all feel about returning to station? Obviously, I can assume, but would you all want to fly on a return mission to station? And if and when you return, what would you do differently, whether that's the food you request or the way that you schedule your time? How would you do things similarly or differently next time around?
Well, plan my time differently. I think that's difficult because we are all planned for by the ground, and so the ground decides what we are doing and what the activities are. But definitely I would study harder, like geography or our planet or the highlights. Now I've seen the beauty of our planet Earth, and I want to learn so much more. I'm curious, and I also want to visit these places that I've seen from space here, like down on the planet. And so next flight, hopefully I prepare better, study harder, so that I just look out of the window and know exactly where I am. Currently I still need also support from the computer and the maps, and so yeah, that is my big goal for the next mission.
Yeah, I think for me it's partially a result of COVID, so I think naturally it may be a little bit better, but we didn't get the opportunity to travel to a lot of the places and meet people in person. So I think for me, one of the missing pieces, or one of the things I'm sad about, it's amazing science we get to do, but it'd be really even better if you got to meet the people you're talking to in person. And so we're making, life-changing discoveries up here on the behalf of the scientists and engineers who thought of these things, but we only get to hear them over the radio, and so we didn't get a chance to meet them in person, or at least not without masks on, over a Zoom call or Teams call. So I think in the future it'd be really good, and even in post-flight, to go back and meet some of those teams and see the impacts of what that's doing. So I think that would be what I do different next time.
I would absolutely love to come to the International Space Station again. I think it's been such an honor for us to be a part of this incredible engineering and scientific vehicle that has been up here for 20 plus years. What an incredible legacy to be a part of. And so we've learned so much, not only individually, but from the history of the station, everything we've accomplished. So being a part of that has been really amazing. And I think for all of us, we would probably just take forward, hopefully, the lessons we learned in our first weeks and months here. I think you feel a lot of pressure when you first get up here, trying to keep up with all the tasks. We have really busy schedules. And when you're doing something for the first time, it always takes longer. And of course, there's all the growing pains we've mentioned where, I let go of this microphone and that's cool, but if I look away for too long, it's going to disappear and now it's lost and I have to look for it. All these little things like that you have to get used to. So I would hope that next time we're a little bit more prepared for some of those challenges.
And our next question comes from Gina Sinceri with ABC News.
What's everyone looking forward to when you get home? A hot shower, a walk on the beach, a cold beer? What's up on your list?
Yes. One thing that in looking out the window, that I miss a lot, I miss our planet. I miss being tucked up under the clouds and feeling the rain that's coming from above and feeling my toes in the sand and the grass. So after I see my family, of course, and have a meal that I've been dreaming of, I'll probably go outside and just feel the wind and feel nature.
And our next question comes from Stephen Clark with Spaceflight Now.
Thanks for taking my question. Stephen Clark from Spaceflight Now. I think my question's for Tom Marshburn. How often do you get to go over to the Russian segment of the space station? I know it's a big station, but how often do you actually get to go over to that part of the station and visit with your Russian crewmates? And what's the dynamic like with everything going on down on planet Earth?
Yeah, actually, it's open traffic between the two areas of the module, the Russian segment and the USOS. So every day we go over there, and we often have a meal, usually have a meal together at least once on the weekend, maybe watch a movie together. And of course, we have tasks that they have an EVA coming up. We've been over to work with them on that as well. So it's been a very collegial, very friendly relationship together up here, and we're working together. We rely on each other for our survival. It is a dangerous environment, and so we just go with our training. We go with recognizing that we are all up here for the same purpose, to explore and to keep this space station maintained and to keep performing the science in our laboratories. And so that is all we focused on. So the dynamic hasn't changed. We have about a 40-year history of working with the Russians, and that is all still very much in work and in play here. And it's been a real pleasure working with our colleagues.
Our next question comes from Bill Harwood with CBS News.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on Gina's question. My earlier question, we heard from Kayla and Tom about what they're looking forward to. How about Raja and Matthias? Could you give us some sense of what you guys are looking forward to when you get back? Thanks.
Yeah, I think very similar in terms of the immediate things. You know, I can't wait to see my wife and kids. They'll hopefully get to meet us on the plane when we land. And so, yeah, giving them all hugs. I think, you know, I get goosebumps just thinking about actually that moment of getting to see them. I mean, just seeing the pictures of my kids, how much they've grown in 6 months since they're younger. It's pretty amazing and makes you realize how much you've missed. I think beyond that, I think what I'm most looking forward to is getting back to work. I mean, there's a whole Artemis program going strong, and, you know, we should be seeing that first one launch shortly after we get back on the ground, and all of us are going to be doing different jobs with exploration, both, you know, maintaining this lab, but also working on exploration and working on the Artemis program and all the elements for that. So there's a whole lot of testing, development, and building going on, and yeah, looking forward to getting our hands dirty in that.
For me, it's the same. It's like I'm looking forward to see my family and my friends again, and just like being with them, but also being outside, smelling planet Earth. Because up here we are in a laboratory, so basically the air here is always filtered and the smells are very limited. So I'm looking forward to, again, to the richness of nature, to also being exposed to the wind, the sun, jumping into water, swimming. What I'm looking least forward to is gravity, because I think like the first few days or maybe even the first few weeks, we need to learn again how to adapt to gravity. And so, once this is over, probably I can enjoy again fully planet Earth.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Crew-3, we can't believe you're in the home stretch of your mission, and we're looking forward to having you back here on Earth. Thanks for all of you who tuned in and asked questions through our various platforms today. We'll see you next time.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we are now resuming normal operational audio communications.
And there we go, SpaceX Crew-3 completing their last major press event on board the International Space Station, them preparing to return back home to Earth later this month after AX-1 departs next week, and Crew-4 gets on station next week as well. Huge thank you to NASA and the crew for allowing us to be part of that conference and answering our question there. Really an honor getting to talk to the space station from a cell phone here on Earth. So we thank them for that, and we wish them a safe return back to Earth. You can follow along with their return to Earth here. We will be going live, bringing you full coverage of their hatch closing, undocking, and return to Earth right here on the launch pad, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We don't have an exact date yet on their departure, but we expect to get that once Crew-4 launches from Kennedy Space Center, with the goal of next week for that launch. But if you haven't yet, take a moment, hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out. Order your Crew-3 shirts today over on our Etsy shop. You can get those possibly in time for their departure. And make sure you join us over on Twitter and Discord to stay connected on everything happening in space. But for now, this is Zach from the TLP Network Studios signing off. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.